people to seek some clarifications around the fees and charges. And I might just clarify the question that I had, which I didn't have the opportunity at Environment Southland to talk to. Welcome, Rhiannon. My questions relate to the water charges. So we've had a bit of publicity back from two large industrial or commercial industries in South City that we're concerned about their water rates going up. So I'd just like some clarification, if you can, or maybe the finance or Three Waters people that are here can give us some advice. My understanding is that the previous increases have gone from $80 to $1.80 and now up further again, but that the rates now apply equally to residential and commercial industrial as well. So they're both on the same level, if somebody can confirm that.
So I'll just speak to the first part, Mayor, and then pass to Patricia.
Cool.
So the increases that are covered in this report were deliberated on by council as part of the annual plan deliberations on the 13th of May. So those increases that are detailed in this report, where those changes were agreed by council then, and this report is simply reflecting those changes. So I don't have in front of me the historic increases that you're referring to, but they sound broadly in line with my memory of what those increases were. So in terms of the alignment of commercial and residential, I'll pass that now to the GM of Finance.
I'm just trying to get hold of one of the team to confirm it, but it is my understanding that at present the rate is the same whether you're a residential or a non-residential user of water. So we've used the same base litrage charge across all.
So my next question relates to the same matter, and it's not a track question for you, but it's just a reflection on what we had put to us by the two representatives that were here from the two large plants, Open Dairy, who suggested that they were now subsidising residential, so that's clearly not the case. In fact, there is a case to say that previously, with the lower rate they had than residential ratepayers were actually subsidising those industries.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah, that's great to know that. The other issues is probably in Erin's area, which is the issue of residential water rates as well. Just to get some clarification that so people understand in the community that we have a flat rate applying across all residential ratepayers, so it doesn't matter how much water you use, you just pay the same amount. And there's the same argument to be had that somebody in a low occupancy residence, like somebody that might be a single owner or might just be a couple, paying the same rate as somebody that might have a family of 5 or 6.
Correct. On the basis that that property is one separately used and inhabitable portion, where there is two connections to the water, so there's a granny flat or something with separate connection, that would pay twice the rate.
I guess that what I'm trying to allude to is that while we've evened out commercial residential one, which is fair for all, and while we consider in the future that whatever increases we get by way of Three Waters, especially in the freshwater area, we might be able to apply differently to large industrial operators. We may, as happens with power, but at the moment we've got a level playing field. It seems to me that we don't have a level playing field in the residential area between different residential. We don't have the ability to monitor how much they use.
That's correct. At the moment, we're not using volumetric charging for residential, so it is a flat rate regardless of how much you use in your household.
So for public listening, and volumetrics is basically water meters.
That's the most common way, yes.
Thank you. Other questions, councillors? Fees and charges. Being none? Oh, Rangi.
No, there seems to be something wrong with your mic. I hear your voice first, and then it comes through the sound system. It's like a trigger point. I'm hearing your voice, and then I hear it through the speaker. So it was just there. You spoke, but it didn't come through.
So I'm assuming that will be a technical issue for you and Michael Morris to sort out, because
No, it's just the sensitivity. I just noticed that when you were speaking there,
Yep.
every time you sort of paused,
Yep.
you missed. I then heard you,
Yep.
and then it went back to the speaker.
I can't answer that.
No.
I don't know.
It's very much thank you for the feedback, councillors. This is the first.
Feedback.
Indeed, but this is the first meeting in the chamber with the new technology. There were always going to be some aspects that we needed to work on to make sure that delivery of sound is seamless. This is very much part of that. So we'll continue to work on that. We have our technician in the room who will be troubleshooting all of these things as we go through the day.
Leslie.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. If there's no other questions, I'm happy to move the recommendations again if you want to confirm them.
Seconded.
Thank you, Darren. Any late discussions on any of those? All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. And we now have the 2025-26 annual plan implications following the government budget. So we have some implications that have come out of that budget, and in particular the contributions by employers for Kiwi Saver. And we have a suite of 5 recommendations here. So I will put 3 separately when we get to it, because it requires a agree or disagree, because it actually, if we agree to 3, then we move the rates up from 7.11 up to 7.19, which is only a small amount, or alternatively we can just not approve that, and that leaves it for the Chief Executive to find the savings elsewhere. So, Patricia, I take it, do you want to present this?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. So this paper is a necessity coming out of the government's budget. We did our deliberations ahead of the central government budget, and these items were added that have an impact on the cost of council. And as the Mayor has explained, the one that has the biggest impact is the change to Kiwi Saver contributions, which is the increase from a 3% contribution to 3.5% initially, then through to 4%. And also the dropping of the age of Kiwi Save from 18 down to 16. It's open to 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds to become members of Kiwi Save if they wish. And we do have people that young within the council employment. So that is the biggest one. While it is a small amount for next year, it increases, and those numbers are included in the paper, it increases significantly as we go through. For the 25-26 year, it is only a 3 months with that amount, where that increase affects, but when we get through to 12 months, it becomes a significant increase to council costs. We have within the annual plan already an efficiencies and savings target of 6.5 million. That will be, and the paper outlines the risks associated with whether that will be able to be achieved or not. This would add to that, and it's on that basis that we have put through the recommendation that we should make that small change to the rates increase to cover this amount off. The other 2 changes which are most relevant to council, and I wanted to provide them as updates to councillors, is the change to the rates rebate scheme. That is a government scheme, but the changes which have been advised most recently do significantly change our process in relation to the rates rebate scheme. And it is vital that anybody who is eligible for the rates rebate scheme and has not applied for the 24-25 financial year get their applications in immediately, because they will close off on the 30th of June. And it will take us 2 to 3 weeks before we're even ready to receive applications for the next year. In relation to the accelerated depreciation, that was it's an initiative from central government for business to allow a greater depreciation deduction for businesses on the purchase of new assets in the first year. That is not available to council. That is a tax depreciation deduction, and council is not taxed in the same way for income tax as other businesses. So while that seems a really good thing for business, and I'd agree it's a great way for business, it's not good for council. And we do not benefit at all from that. So we will still have the same depreciation rules as we would normally have. So there is no change in that.
Thank you. Any questions, Councillor Tess? Tom?
We have through the course of any year a number of things which change after we have set the budget. Inflation may be different than we assume. Interest rates may be different than we assume. There's actually any number of things which are different than the assumptions we make at the beginning. This seems to me to be a relatively small amount of money. We have already gone out and declared a increase in rates. My own view, and I'm trying to turn this into a question, but my own view would be that we should simply absorb it. So maybe turning it into a question, what's different about this relative to all those other things that inevitably change during the course of a year relative to the assumption we make at the beginning?
Through you, Chair, the difference in this is that we actually have the ability to make the change. We had enough time that it is possible for us to make this change without affecting the delivery of the annual plan. If this had happened this week or next, we would have been beyond it. So that we had the ability to make the change. It's exactly the same as we would have had this it appeared before deliberations. We would have put the change forward as we did when we looked at all the other assumptions. This assumption changed in the small window that we had to make that change.
Trish?
Through you, Chair. Patricia, you said that it's important that people who are eligible for the rates rebate get, do that quickly. What are we doing, or what are you doing to make sure that people know about that?
We do an extensive campaign right through the year about having people that are eligible. We do have a large number of people that are eligible for it, and we do. And if you got one the previous year, you will have already received communication from us about reminding yourself to put your application in. So part of it is also to be picked up in the media that people will not have realised that the small window that sometimes you could get one in late and still have it backdated won't happen this year.
Are we actually doing something through our website to tell people that now?
We are looking at updating the website at the moment.
Oh, no, sorry. I mean, are we going to be telling people that we are doing, that the rates rebate closes 30th of June? Remind those people who perhaps haven't seen it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Further questions? Yeah, Grant.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clark. Patricia, so just looking through the sort of how it rolls out through the next 3 years, so by 2028, 29, it's almost 1% of rates, the cost.
Correct.
With it. Yeah, okay. And probably it's further to Tom's comment with respect to, how we do this with the small amount it is for this year. I think we probably could absorb that for this year as opposed to moving the rate. But that's not.
Okay, any further discussion? No? Okay. That being the case, I'll put 1, 2, 4 and 5 together, which are all accepting or noting the changes that have been raised by management. And then we'll come back to have a final shot at number 3.
Happy to
Yep,
move
thank you.
those.
Thank you. Second to Barry. All those in favour? Carried. Back to recommendation 3, which is gives us the option of increasing the rates from 7.11 to 7.19 to accommodate the projected cost of 61,000, which is driven by Kiwi Saver. I'll open that up if there's any further comment. From my end, I support what Tom was saying, that I think we will have some discretion as we move through the year, and a classic example of that is the total mobility costs that we've had signalled by staff recently that are potentially going up 400,000 a year, and somewhere way north of that as well. And that is driven by some concerns about how total mobility is driven, which is part government and part council funded. And I've written to the Minister Upston today about the concerns that we have. So we may be in a position where the potential costs that we could be facing around total mobility may not be as big as we think they are. So that we'll have some flexibility during the year. Any further discussion on recommendation 3? Yeah, Alex.
Thank you, Chair. I would just caution us in accounting for whatever money that we could potentially earn from total mobility, because that's still under discussion. We're still in a consultation process with community at the moment, and sort of accounting for it as though we've already made a decision is probably not particularly wise.
I wasn't suggesting that we're getting income from it. The way total mobility operates is that government subsidise 50% of the cost. We wear 25% of the cost, and the client is meant to wear the other 25%. What's happening within the industry is that the providers of that service, which are predominantly taxi companies, are not charging the clients the 25%. And because of that, and because there's no limit on how many times a week a person can now use them, where in the past there was a limit, you got a book given to you with vouchers in it, and when the book ran out, the book ran out. But there is no limit today. And so I can show you examples of people using it 3 and 4 times a day on some days. So that's, I guess for us as a council, that 25% is great, but there's no limit on it. I mean, it could run $1 million more going forward a year or two. So that's just something we want to try and get a handle on with the government.
So the 400,000 that you're projecting, where would that come from?
Staff projected that. They said 120 to, I think from memory, 120 to 400,000 was expected next year. But they put a caveat in there, said it could be a darn sight more than that. And so all I'm saying is, not saying we should claw back. Each case that requires total mobility is unique to itself, but certainly the providers of the service are saying that there's some areas where the practice is not matching what we're initially trying to achieve.
Chair, I think the example you quoted is only one of many, many examples where through the course of a year, in any year, you know, there's going to be ups and downs. It's like a golf score where you've got birdies and bogeys, and, you know, some things are higher and some things are lower than, you know, than we expect it to be. I think in this case, the amount of money is small enough that given we have already gone out to the community and said it will be 7.11, I think we should honour that. So if you're prepared to accept a motion, I would move that we do not increase rates.
Sorry, Rangi, I missed you before.
That's okay. I believe that we rate for what is real. This is a real cost. If it had been included earlier, it would have been rated for. I've been on too many councils now, and I've seen it happen where shall we write attitude has been applied. If we do pick up money through other means during the year, then that will be passed on as a benefit to next year's rating. So, sorry, I'm a great believer in what is real, you charge for. You don't assume anything. I won't say the phrase about assumption, but yeah, I would like to stick. If it's a cost, then we rate for it.
Leslie.
Mr. Mayor, on this one, I actually believe that we should be agreeing to fund the increased Kiwi Saver cost. It's a cost to us as an employer. This is a government mandated change. We have the ability to adjust our annual plan for the cost. And let me point out that while it is a smaller cost for this particular time because of the timing, it is not a small cost in the following years. It is still an employer cost on us as the employer. And I think it would be against the principles on which we've operated as employers for all our time as employers not to fund this cost from the very beginning. We have ample time to make the change, and I think we should make it.
Any further discussion? Tom, before you come back to the putting it forward, I think I'd go the other way and run with the motion that it's agreed to. I don't personally agree with that, but I think that's the way to go. And then if that's defeated, then that's the position that we have.
Sorry, could I
Sorry.
Could I clarify something?
Sure.
I'm not proposing that we do not fund the increase in Kiwi Saver cost. We certainly must do that. Of course we must do that. The question is whether we separately fund for it, whether we increase rates, or whether we absorb it through other means.
And I understand that. So the motion that we will have is whether we increase the rate from 7.11 to 7.19, or whether we just leave it for management to find savings or to absorb the cost. We don't have a discretion around the increased Kiwi Saver. That's been mandated by government. Does somebody like to move the acceptance of that recommendation?
I'll move.
Leslie, and seconded by Barry. Favour?
Aye.
Are those opposed to it?
Aye.
So I think we'll probably, can I just show of hands of those opposed so I can get a feeling for that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Head company, Michael, in favour.
We're doing a division here.
I think, yeah. Okay, so just going back to those that are in favour, so just put show of hands, please. For those in favour. No. These are the ones that are in favour of increasing the rate from 7.11 to 7.19. Leslie, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6. You can't vote at council. And those opposed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a 6-all split. The chair has the casting vote, and the motion is lost. Okay, that ends the meeting.
If the motion is lost, there needs to be another motion to replace it.
Well, Tom, would you like to move something?
Chair, I will move that the changes to Kiwi Saver Fund should be supported by this council, but that we should do so without increasing rates for this year.
Thank you. Second that, Trish. Thank you. Any discussion further about that?
Well, yes, it would be necessary since this year has been put in the motion.
Yes.
If the mover can just clarify that means he is suggesting that this be incorporated as a cost in future years that is rates funded, as all our employer costs are.
Sorry, I said for this year, but bearing in mind that we are only talking about this year's annual plan in this motion.
Sure.
Any further increases are going to have to, by right, legally be obligated in any further annual plan, in our LTP plan. So it's not just an absorption of this now, which would leave us, should our accounting be correct, which I have every faith that it is, running at a $60,000 deficit, a $61,000 deficit for this annual plan, and then going into next year, I think it would be really important for this council to ensure that we are complying with our legal obligation and paying and ensuring that we're accounting for it for every year going forward as well.
Yeah, but just clarifying that, sorry, I'm not suggesting that we don't do that this year. I'm suggesting that we fund that internally through other changes. Obviously, we will support the change in Kiwi Saver for this year.
Michael.
Through yourself, Chair, just reading the motion as it currently stands, I need to get it reworded for what the Deputy Mayor is actually indicating he wants to move as a motion. So if you can give me a few minutes, I'll work with the team to get it changed.
Well, we've got one in front of us here on the screen. It reads, disagrees to fund the increased Kiwi Saver estimated at $61,000 by increasing the rates from 7.11 to 7.19, a 0.08 increase for the 25-26 period. This will be included in the annual plan documents for adoption.
Through yourself, Chair, the Deputy Mayor was indicating that he agrees to fund the Kiwi Saver of 61, but absorbing it through the existing rates increase. So I just need to get that reworded, because that's not how that reads.
I agree, the words don't quite, the words are a little bit confusing.
That needs
when
to
it
be
says
significantly
disagrees to
reworded.
fund, it
Yeah.
implies that we're not going to fund it. Yeah.
It's taken me 5 minutes to work with the team
We'll just,
to reword for you.
Yep, so we'll just have a brief moment while Recommendation 3 states agrees that the increased Kiwi Saver cost estimated at $61,000 for the 25-26 annual plan will be funded by an increase in the Chief Executive efficiency target, This will be included in the annual plan documents for adoption. Oh, yep. So Tom's moved that, seconder. Trish, yes, thank you. You're both happy with those changes? Yep. All those in favour?
Sorry,
Oh,
I
sorry.
don't believe we're back on live stream. Sorry. Are we? Oh, okay.
We're on live
Sorry.
stream. I'm advised. Again, running with the division. Those in favour of what we have now in front of us, which I've just read out, just a show of hands, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so it's a 6-all vote, and the chair has a casting vote, so that is agreed to. Thank you. And that's the end of today's open meeting. We are back at 2 p.m. for the community and wellbeing
Workshop.
Back at 12 for a workshop.
Live stream goes.